Hello and welcome to the Sarasota Film Festival Spotlight Series. Today we're here with...
My name's Rebecca Barry and I'm the producer-director of the documentary feature film I'm a Girl.
Tell me all about I'm a Girl.
I'm a Girl is a documentary that looks at the lives of 6 different girls from 6 different places from all around the world, dealing with different challenges of growing up female. So we go to Afghanistan, we look at the issue of education, we go to Cameroon, we look at the issue of early marriage, Papua New Guinea, we look at the issue of maternal health, and of course we go to Australia and USA as well, and we also go to Cambodia and look at the issue of sexual violence.
Right. What drew you to this? What inspired you to tell this story?
This story was inspired by a very mundane situation. I was sitting in a doctor's surgery reading a magazine article,
Right.
and there was this article about gender inequality, and it was quite an extraordinary piece of journalism, and it had these beautiful photographs of girls with scars coupled with these quite full-on statistics. So I read things like pregnancy and childbirth is the biggest killer of girls under the age of 18 in our world today.
Very true.
Yeah, and 1 in 3 girls will experience some form of sexual violence, and more often than not that's by someone that they know. And so I read all these things that day, and it moved me to tears, and it inspired me to do something. And I asked myself that day, what can I do? I've got to do something. And it took a while, but I made it.
It always does.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
What were some of the obstacles that you encountered in creating this documentary?
Well, I guess the first obstacle for a film is to find the resources to make the film.
Sure.
And we've funded this film in a really interesting way through philanthropy. So in Australia, you might hear my funny accent, I'm from Australia, so we have an organisation called Documentary Australia Foundation, and they facilitate relationships between filmmakers and philanthropists who understand the power of storytelling to make social impact. And so we funded our film through philanthropy.
And how did you choose your subjects?
Yeah, well look, choosing our subjects was a really interesting process. First of all, what I did was pick the subjects that I wanted to focus on. So obviously we went maternal health, access to education, early marriage, and then we looked at the relationships that we had with different partners. So some of those were our philanthropists, some of them were other people in kind support. And then we looked at logistics. So we knew that we wanted to go to Africa, and we had a relationship with an organisation called Plan International, and they facilitated our trip there. Afghanistan, we partnered with Save the Children, and they facilitate. It's very difficult to travel in Afghanistan. So
I was going to say, there was probably some challenges just in the places that you chose.
Yeah, well, we went to some pretty dangerous places. So, I mean, Afghanistan's very dangerous, and we also went to Port Moresby, which is a country just above Australia, called Port Moresby is the capital, Papua New Guinea is the country, and that's a very dangerous place to travel as well. But we always made sure
Beautiful,
beautiful, yeah, and extraordinary people, but pretty dangerous if you're a woman traveling. So, and it was just me and my camera woman Nicola Daly traveling around the place. So we had to make sure that we were safe. We went on a girls' own adventure around the world. So, but it was interesting because often we'd arrive in these dangerous places, and the hype, although it was dangerous and we had to look after ourselves. I mean, going to Afghanistan, once we were out of Kabul, it was one of the most extraordinarily beautiful places that I've ever been to. I've been to a lot of places in the world, and one of the most welcoming. The Hazara community that we were filming in were so welcoming. I've never drunk so many cups of tea in my life, and so often the build-up and the hype around before we got there was more anxiety, anxious building than when we're actually there. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
What was some of the revelatory moments for you in making this film, finding things that you didn't expect?
Oh goodness me. Well, look, I guess our Cambodian story was Kim Se, our girl in Cambodia. when we first met Kim Se, she was 14. We started filming her in 2010. And even then, her story was so troubling and so tragic. 14-year-old, no schooling, no father figure, poverty-stricken, and having to make a living as a sex worker, and with a 1-month-old. And then we went back to visit her, and we thought, gosh, her story.
See, our hearts are breaking just hearing this. Imagine seeing the film.
Yeah, and then what you learn through the film, and when we went back in 2012, that her life is getting worse. You know, like she had another child who was actually sold. And you just kind of go, my goodness, this is so tragic. And I guess what I really got out of Kim Se's story on reflection was that Kim Se is one of thousands of girls who sometimes are in an even worse situation than what she's in. I mean, at least she could actually go home at night. A lot of girls are, you know, held in sexual slavery and captivity, and this is a monumental problem. So, you know, I guess you kind of sometimes you get really overwhelmed by the problem. But then you're given this optimism because she still has dreams, and she still wants to make a better life for herself, and this perseverance and this resilience that she has is incredible. Yeah.
That's really inspiring. What do you hope that our audiences take from your movie?
Look, I would love it. Bare minimum, I would love it if people would walk away from the film and think differently, or spark a conversation about this, talk to their sons about it, talk to their girls about it, show it to their, you know, buy the DVD or whatever, and show it in schools. We've got these amazing education materials up on our website, which is imagirl.com.au, so teachers can go there. I would love it if people would feel differently about girls and understand that even though in our countries, in USA and Australia, and we have a girl from USA and we have a girl from Australia in our film who are dealing with problems, that we still have issues in our own countries that we need to address. We still don't have equal pay. We still don't have childcare. You know, there are things that we still have to work out. I mean, comparatively, we're doing really well and we're improving, but we need to keep moving forward. And then hopefully people might even act differently. And the great thing about our film is that the film is a real invitation to men as well. The film is made by women, and it's about a women's issue, gender inequality, but the film doesn't alienate men. We've got some strong male father figures in our film that really show the importance of men, and good men, and how including men in the conversation to gender equality is actually how we have to move forward. So we had to have radical feminism, we had to be angry, and we had to stand up, but now we're at this point where we need to move forward together. So I'm hoping that we can sort of bring men and women together through the film, and it can be taught in schools, and people can either think differently, act differently, or feel differently about this issue.
We're honored to have you here and your film. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an amazing festival. I've had such a great time. Thank you.